Hello everyone, this is Son of Winter. Welcome to Season 5 Episode 10 on Supernatural Encounters in Singapore. Today I will share a story at MacRitchie Reservoir in Singapore. It is one of the oldest reservoirs in Singapore, built more than 150 years ago. The title of today's story is Tomb Mystery at the MacRitchie Reservoir. Before the reservoir was built, the area was a very scenic hill, and who can guess that there was actually an eerie tomb where most people shun away from. And it was a romantic enclave in the past. It was a protruding lookout point in the middle of the hiking track along the slope of a hill. From there, the view was spectacular as it overlooked a large hilly landscape like a flowery meadow over the valley. Birds and wild monkeys over the hills sang in orchestra, and the nature sounds filled the air. The above-mentioned romantic enclave was a meeting place for Fan and Lot. By the way, these are not the real name of the two persons I heard of. The enclave area witnessed the most drastic emotions of mankind brought up by this couple through life and death, joy, romance, betrayal, grief, and tragedy. The story happened near the end of 18th century. Fan was the only daughter of a rich and famous family who ran an import trading business with the British. Fan grew up in Britain and always loved nature. Her growing environment shaped her to be a bold and open-minded person. That was somewhat opposite to her father, that was very traditional and rigorous, a typical Chinese businessman who calculates gains and loss more than anything else. Since Fan was young, her father had already arranged a marriage for her, which was common in the old days, with a son of a tycoon called Tai. Obviously, building a marriage with a tycoon son will benefit lifting Fan's family business to a new height. However, Fan never wanted to submit to her fate. Being a girl of 20 years old, she was independent enough to manage her own life. She left her home from time to time, and she would like to hang out at the scenic walks in MacRitchie Reservoir, which was not a reservoir in those days. That was a perfect place for some quiet moments away from troubles. It became Fan's favorite sanctuary whenever she felt depressed. There, Fan met her Mr. Right at the reservoir one day. That was Lot. We didn't know much about Lot, not even our informant. We were told that Lot was a charismatic communist, a leader of some political group before the war, who regularly organized activities or gatherings near MacRitchie Reservoir area. It is their destiny that they bumped, they clicked, and fell in love, though they came from quite a different background. Their dating at MacRitchie Reservoir lasted for some period of time. This couple always met there, fell in love, and they vowed to get married there with the witness of heaven and earth, which is the sky and the valley in MacRitchie Reservoir. They courted each other more and more often, until one day, Fan's family got wind about this. As expected, Fan's father was very angry about this affair because her daughter was disobeying him, let alone the fact that Lot was a communist clan leader that was a natural enemy to a pro-British businessman. Fan's father and Thai's father plotted to do something patching up the situation. The arranged marriage had to proceed in one few months' time anyway. They wouldn't allow Lot to interrupt it. On one fateful evening, as usual, Fan was expecting to meet Lot at their favorite spot in MacRitchie Reservoir. Instead of Lot, his fellow came and delivered her a letter. Nobody knows what was the content of the letter and who had actually written it. However, on the next morning, Fan's body was found dead at the bottom of the valley, just right under the lookout point where Fan always hang out. Again, nobody knows whether she jumped down, pushed down, or fell down by accident. After Fan's death, the wedding arranged between the two families had to be cancelled. Hence, Fan's family business without the help of Tycoon Thai plunged down very soon and eventually got bankrupt. But still, the Tycoon son Thai loved Fan very much. That was what the public could have seen about. He spent a lot of money and took Fan to be buried at the lookout point with a splendid tomb. The grand tomb had a very superb facing, overseeing the hills across the valley. Many years later, however, MacRitchie Reservoir was developed into a water catchment area, and the valley turned into a water reservoir as it is of today. Water filled up the valley to the level of the tomb, flooding even the lowest part of it. That's how the name Water Tomb came about. How do I know about this story? I happen to know a friend who knows Thai personally, who said that Thai's family had done something to intervene into Fan's relationship with Lot, but not with any intent to have her killed. Most people would think that Thai so loved Fan that he had been so nice to build him a posh tomb. The truth was otherwise. Lot was actually murdered in the same year after Fan died, and Fan's body was found to be pregnant by the doctors in hospital. People know that Lot was killed too in a riot, but it was actually a plot arranged in purpose. Here is the most intriguing thing. Lot's body was buried in Bukit Brown Cemetery, also known as Kopi Hill Cemetery. This was the idea by his dialect clan leader, who in turn was controlled by Thai's family. And Fan's body was offered to be buried at the lookout point that happened to be on the opposite side of the hill. In other words, Fan and Lot were buried between and separated by a hill back to back, so they never faced each other. All these were arranged by Thai. You can see how jealousy turned into hatred and into revenge. Since then, Fan's grave was nicknamed as Water Tomb, but even more frightening, people believe that is very haunted. Sightings of a female apparition emerging from water are common at night. Some call it Sui Gui, which is known as the water ghost. Nowadays, the descendants of Thai family realize what their grandfather had done is tremendously wrong. They feel guilty about it, especially after they heard that the Sui Gui, which is believed to be Fan's spirit, was haunting that reservoir. They used to invite monks to perform rituals trying to appease the soul, but doesn't help. Until now, Thai's family has been funding a contractor to come and sweep the tomb regularly. Every year, they will bring offerings by themselves to the tomb during festivals like Qingming and July Hungry Ghost Month. Well, this is a fair world. When planting a good deed, you will receive a good reward. Likewise, a crime will invite mishap. God knows what they have done. Thai family seems to be cursed. The grandfather and the father was both drowned to death, though not in MacRitchie Reservoir. It wasn't long ago. The father at his late age had developed some mental problems. He was kept at home all the time. But for some unknown reason, one day he sneaked out alone and found drowned in a sewage drain mysteriously. It was strange that one family member after another was dead by drowning. It's very strange. It was classified as an unnatural death by the police and was reported on news several years ago. Just share with you a secret. If you want to know whether fan spirit is still around, just throw a coconut into the water at MacRitchie Reservoir. If it floats, that means no spirit. If it sinks, that shows fan spirit is still around at MacRitchie. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast. I hope you enjoy the story. It's based on a true story. A love story turned tragic, very sad. The story of the ghost at MacRitchie Reservoir. Although there was no reports of ghost sightings or ghost stories, the fate of people in that family was very strange and bizarre. So there'll be more episodes coming soon, especially with the upcoming Hungry Ghost Festival. So look out for more interesting true ghost stories in Singapore or from other countries. So please remember to subscribe to my channel to hear the latest updates of my stories. Thank you. Have a nice day. Good night.